I guess that's my cue to start. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for starting your Tuesday morning, your snowy Tuesday morning with us. I see lots of familiar faces and lots of familiar names coming into the webinar and this launch of our new scale program. So, as most of you know, and as the screen says, I'm Melody Pashko. I'm the general manager here at Alberta Food Processors. I'm going to turn you over to the program manager quite quickly, and he will get right into the program. There are lots of time for questions right after this, so we are going to use the Q&A in the chat box. Depending on time, we may go live for some of the questions, but don't worry. One way or the other, we'll get all your questions over. I want to thank our funders. This program was a long time in coming. Prairie Can and Alberta Innovates worked very hard with the AFPA team to get this program launched. So very excited this is kind of day one. We've been working behind the scenes. So very excited to turn this over to Emmanuel, our program manager. Emmanuel, over to you.
Thank you, Melody. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Emmanuel. I'm the program manager for the SCALE project at AFPA. I come with over 15 years of experience, having worked in industry, academia, and government, and also worked in 3 different countries. My role within the project is to work with Alberta food and beverage processors, together with our team that you will meet later on, to make sure that this program is practical, is useful, and grounded in the real challenges that all companies are facing and dealing with right now. So this morning, I'm just going to briefly walk you through why SCALE was created, what the program offers, and how businesses can engage. And then I will hand over to our industry navigators to take you further into the support that is available. So why SCALE? At AFPA, we've been hearing a very consistent message across processors across Alberta. Businesses are facing rising costs, supply chain pressures, tariff-related impacts, while at the same time being asked to modernize, improve efficiency, and also prepare for growth. Many companies can see opportunities in new markets, they can see new buyers, and they can see new technologies, but it is not always clear where to start or how to move those opportunities forward in a practical way. And that is really the gap that SCALE is meant to help address. And so with support from Prairies Canada and Alberta Innovates, this program was created to give tariff-impacted food and beverage processors access to the knowledge, guidance, and support that is needed to strengthen your operations and build capacity for long-term growth. And so with that context in mind, it is important to understand what SCALE is actually designed to do for your business. So what is SCALE designed to do? SCALE is designed for your business or for other food processors that want to improve how they operate today, while also preparing for future growth. That may mean reducing inefficiencies, strengthening internal systems, improving the use of technology, becoming more retail ready, or building confidence to enter new markets. The idea is to help businesses to move from confidence to enter new markets, and to help companies to identify challenges to actually doing something about these challenges through the program in coaching, in workshops, and in accessing funding support. It is also worth saying that this work has a broader impact. When you become stronger, more efficient, and more competitive, that contributes to job creation, to food system resilience, and economic diversification across the province. And so to make that more concrete, let me show you the kind of impact this program is expected to deliver. This program is intended to achieve and to support more than 100 SMEs through 20 technology adoptions across participating businesses. The project is also intended to help bring between 5 and 10 million in new sales, and also help support 150 jobs, either created or sustained. Additionally, for businesses and for processors, There is tiered funding, the maximum of which is $99,000. And just as importantly, this support is offered as a non-repayable grant through a 75-25 cost share model, which will help to reduce the financial barrier to implementing actions to address some of the challenges that you have. So what does that support actually look like on the ground? There are a few key parts to the program. First, businesses can access specialized coaching and industry navigation support. That means working with our experienced teammates who are advisors who can help you identify bottlenecks, clarify priorities, and focus attention on the projects that could have the biggest operational or commercial impact. Secondly, the SCALE project includes workshops and educational modules in areas that matter directly to processors. These include food safety and HACCP, technology adoption and digitization, financial literacy, energy efficiency, and other forms of efficiency. The focus is on practical knowledge that businesses can actually use, not just high-level theory. Third, the program includes retail readiness and market support. For some processes, that may mean improving your packaging, looking at your labeling, and looking at certifications. For others, it may mean gaining a better understanding of what retailers, distributors, or other buyers are looking for. And finally, for you with clearly defined projects, there is also an opportunity to apply for funding support to help implement those next steps. So let me spend a moment on the funding structure, because that is often one of the first questions that businesses will ask. One of the strengths of SCALE is that the funding is non-repayable, so approved businesses and processors are not taking on debt in order to improve their operations or pursue growth projects. The model is a 75-25 split, which means the program covers 75% of eligible costs, and businesses contribute 25%. There are three funding tiers. Tier 1, up to $50,000, is for foundational needs, such as compliance, regulatory readiness, and getting your core systems in place. Tier 2 funding is up to $70,000. It's more focused on modernization. This includes automation, digital tools, and training. And then Tier 3, up to $99,000, is for larger transformation projects, such as export readiness, advanced certifications, or significant digital upgrades and automation. The program runs through March 31st, 2028. So you have time to engage and you have time to plan properly. Alongside funding, another part of SCALE is capability building through workshops. And I'm going to take you through some of these workshop topics. So what are these workshop topics? We currently have 4 main workshop streams that are especially relevant for Alberta food and beverage processors. But we're also going to work with you and our advisory and education committee to come up with other topics that are relevant for you as you grow your businesses so that we can have those workshops. So the first workshop that we're focusing on is food safety and HACCP, including an upcoming HACCP course. The second is technology and digitization, looking at areas like ERP systems, automation, and practical use of operational data. The third is financial literacy, which is really about helping businesses understand their numbers better and making more informed decisions. And the fourth is about efficiency and energy, focusing on practical ways with which we can reduce costs, but also improve sustainability. These sessions will be available both virtually and in person so that you can participate in a format that works best for you. In addition to these workshops, processors often want to know what kind of projects and what kind of project costs may actually be eligible within the tiered funding. So what are these eligible funding categories that we look at? At a high level, eligible costs need to support one or more of 3 goals: improving compliance, adopting technology, and strengthening competitiveness. On the food safety and compliance side, that can include HACCP development, broader food safety planning, licensing, permits, labeling compliance, and traceability systems. On the technology side, it may include ERP systems, production, software for e-commerce, inventory automation, and digitally enabled equipment upgrades. There's also support for product and market development, such as formulation work, packaging improvements, shelf life testing, nutritional analysis, and export readiness activities. And beyond that, the program can support training, workforce development, business planning, costing, pricing, market access, and other practical projects that build stronger operations and improve readiness for growth. And so before we go further into other parts of scale, we'd like to hear a little from you as well. And so we're going to pause and do a very quick pulse check to understand who is in the room and what you're most interested in today. This should only take about 2 minutes. So please scan the QR code, and then we can complete the Mentimeter survey. Your responses are going to help us tailor scale, but also make sure that it is relevant to your business. And whilst we're doing that, I want to address some of the most important questions that you have as well. I have the results. I'm looking at the results on my other screen. I see a lot of food beverage processors, some ecosystem partners, some co-packers, and then some others. And where are you in your scaling journey? Okay, a few responses on national distribution. Actually, most of the responses are on national distribution and exports, regional retail and food service. In this slide, in 1 or 2 words, what is your biggest scaling challenge? Market access. Okay, education seems to be the biggest one, and raising equity. We're also going to share the results after so that we can see what the results are. But so far, the largest or the biggest challenges are funding, raising equity, and education. And in this, we want to know what types of support that would help you the most right now. So the most support I see here is cash flow and financing growth, and then labeling, license and regulatory, technology and automation, export, market readiness. Okay, technology is now the second one. Labeling and licensing is third. Cash flow and financing is still the first option. And how has your business been impacted by the tariffs and global trade pressures today? Okay, most companies are watching, and for others, it's also starting to bite. They seem to have equal of responses on watching closely, starting to bite significantly. It's already impacting decisions. Next question. Okay, thank you. That helps. With the information that you've provided helps us to tailor, but also helps us to understand your needs. We're going to share the results as well, so that you will see, but we'll also share the recording of this. So in terms of eligibility, I think it's important to understand what projects are eligible, what companies are eligible. And so Scale is designed for Alberta-based small and medium-sized food and beverage processors that are ready to strengthen their businesses and actively engaged in the program. So AFPA membership is preferred, but it is not mandatory. What matters most is that you're operating in Alberta, you have a clear interest in improving areas like compliance, technology, market development, or expansion, and you have leadership willing to participate in coaching, workshops, and follow through. There's no cost to apply and no cost to access our navigator support. If you think that your business is ready or may be a fit, we encourage you to reach out directly on the website. There's a form to apply, or you can send an email to scale@afpa.com. But I also want to take a moment to recognize the team supporting this work. Scale is very much a team effort, and each member brings different strengths and experiences to the initiative. And that mix is important because processors need support that reflects both operational realities and growth opportunities. So my name is Emmanuel, and I'm the program manager for Scale. And I'm going to hand over to my colleagues to introduce themselves and also tell you what their role is within the team.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert Himsue, and I'm one of the industry navigators here on the Scale project. My background is in industrial manufacturing with experience in food safety, health and safety management systems, plant operations, and continuous improvement. From a Scale context, I'll be working with you on process optimization at any one of your locations, digital tools implementation, and value stream mapping your operation to identify areas where we can reduce waste using lean concepts and lean manufacturing. I'm really looking forward to working with any one of you and getting to know your businesses better. Over to you, Pauline.
Hi, I'm Pauline Patnode. I've been working with Canadian food and beverage processors right across the country for over 20 years. I've supported several companies for retail readiness and go-to-market strategies. I can help you get your products into market. I've done that for companies from the Yukon all the way to Nova Scotia with getting into the buy local programs, labeling. I'm also bilingual French English, so I can help you with that. And whether your product can be sold via e-commerce, logistics, some co-packing options and distribution options, as well as to export markets. No one ever said that getting a food product to market was easy. Some of the companies I've worked with in Alberta include Baby Gourmet Foods. They started out in farmers markets in 2008. They grew to international expansion and have had significant international investment as well. Red Shed Malting out of Penhold, Alberta, helped them do a market validation for supplying craft malt to many of the breweries that many people enjoy local craft beers, and as well as some of the local distilleries, including Burwood Distillery and Eau Claire Distillery. I grew up on a farm in northeast Saskatchewan and also worked for the large ag chemical companies. So I think I have a good understanding of the supply chain and how to help you navigate that. Over to
Oh,
Mark.
it's finally my turn. All right. The team had met me 3 weeks ago, and I'm probably described as the Energizer Bunny on the team. Uh, but you'll know me as Sustainable, and now you're going to know me as AFPA. I am delineating both. I am so excited about this program. Folks, this one's super unique. I have successfully landed 500,000 plus in grants for my company. And when I saw this program and how it's kind of evolving and running, I wanted to be part of it. And I actually wanted to make sure that there was a founder on the team so we could listen to you and make sure that everything is heard. But also, I've sat in your shoes. And what I mean by that is I started Sustainable just under 8 years ago. So it's a company that turns beer waste into a flour and added value products. Pauline mentioned that it's not easy to get into retail. It took us 13 months longer than we expected to get our first one. And then I've learned how to take that first one and turn it into more. So I might work more with the smaller operators. If you don't get funding, you're going to get coaching on how to get that funding. We're seeing a lot of questions coming in. Please keep those coming. The other real opportunity to meet the team, if you think this energy is special, come meet me in person. I promise you, it just goes up another level and I'll be able to help. Bring your product. I'll give you extra features on LinkedIn if you haven't noticed there. I'm doing that as well. So I've landed 500,000 funding. I've gone on Dragon's Den and coached other companies on how to do that. And any one of your challenges, I can promise you, you might want to talk to me first, but you really want to be working with Emmanuel, Pauline, and Robert. Their experience, I've learned so much from them in 3 weeks. I can't wait for you guys to learn from them as well. So I know a lot of questions in here have been around how does this work? And so that's what we're going to dive into next. Let's talk about the process and the next steps, which some of you have already taken the first one. So how do you actually engage with Scale? Some of you have found that Scale email, it's going to pop up at the end, and the application form is also going to be coming across in a QR code. So let's jump into the next slide, and we're going to take you through the few steps. I'm going to pass it over to Pauline here shortly. But the first step, which some of you have already done, there'll be a QR code on the end, but we're going to leave this screen up just a little bit longer because we've noticed that some people can't scan. So if you want to click the link or just quickly type it in, but again, QR code coming at the end, and we'll make sure that the follow-up communication does include that link. It is on the AFPA website as well. But you're just going to tell us a little bit about yourself. So a little bit about that Mentimeter. We're going to understand those challenges. And then we're going to be in a better position to support you because Pauline's going to explain the next step, which some of you are already going to hear from us soon.
Yeah, so the next step after we receive that form, someone from the team, depending on what you indicated as your need, will reach out to you. So that will be either myself, Robert, or if you're lucky, you'll get Mark, who always brings up the energy level. And then once we clarify what your goals are and really what your challenges are as well, we'll look at what the best fit is for you in the program and discuss that with you, whether it's coaching, workshops, technology guidance, or a combination, including the funding. First thing that we like to start with, because this involves coaching, is a high level action plan so that we can both follow along with that while we're coaching you. Um, as we previously discussed, sort of in this presentation, some of the example projects here that we would discuss might be things like looking at an ERP system if you're growing rapidly and maybe your systems haven't been able to keep pace. You might also be looking at certification to get into some of the retail markets. Also, I think Robert's got the experience of digital systems, maybe on the automation side. So once we have that, we'd like to turn that into a project and see if we can get your application in for funding. So I think that's sort of the next step, step 3.
Yes, so from there, we'll work with you to design and implement a support plan. For some companies, that will be coaching or mainly workshops. But for others, it may evolve into a formal project where we'll determine whether it's eligible for funding. But regardless of whichever engagement you get into, the key goal is clear communication of the criteria, timelines, and expectations so you know exactly what you're signing up for. And Emmanuel?
Thank you, team. I want to emphasize that scale is not meant to be a one-time single touch point. It's an ongoing program designed to support you over time through continued engagement, through the evolving resources and targeted workshops. So our goal is to help you move from identifying challenges to implementing solutions. So you can click on the QR code that will take you directly to the website to fill out the scale application form. Robert, if you can just show that slide. On that QR code, you can put it, no, the next one, please. You can also put in the information that you need to be able to apply to scale. One of our industry navigators will contact you and we will build a project from there. You can also email us at scale@afpa.com if you want to contact one of the navigators or also determine how you can be a part of the scale project. I'm going to open the floor now to questions. I know there are a lot of burning questions, and hopefully we can answer the questions that you have and get you started within the scale program.
All right, Emmanuel, we've had some in the chat. So we're going to go back up and keep them coming, whether they come in the chat or the Q&A box, we will address them. So the first one we had was from Jordan. Jordan, thank you for all the questions. I see you've asked a lot. If the cost of the upgrade exceeds the max funding, can they still get the max amount and contribute more than 25%?
It has to fall. So the contribution from the scale project has to fall within the tiers. If your cost is more, then the eligible cost will only be that what falls within the eligible cost for the scale tiers. So any extra cost will be your matching funding to compensate for the excess.
Yeah, so if it goes up over and above, to clarify, Jordan, it would be a cost that you would have to take on. And then you can chat with your coach around stackability and other stuff like that with other grants. So Jessica was our second question. When can we apply and when will funding be available? How far before the program start can projects or initiatives be eligible?
You can apply now. The application form is on the website. You can access it through the QR code. You can also send an email to have a first touch point with one of our navigators to have a discussion with you to scope out your project and also to design the project and to understand which of the tiers your project will fall into. Technically, your eligible cost will have to be reimbursed at the approval of the project. So no, it is not retroactive in terms of the cost recovery.
Perfect. And you'll go through, everybody, you'll go through this with your first meeting in that second step with your coach. So that'll be discussed whether it's in the second meeting or a follow-up meeting when that funding and if you're a fit for that funding. Back to Jordan's other question. This one's cutting very new information. The federal government announced a new headline, carbon cost. Would lowering your emissions below benchmark count as a compliance cost?
That's a good question. That's something that we have to look into. I think it may fall under tier 3 when you look at transformation projects, but that's something we can look into and discuss with you later. I don't have the answer for that now.
Perfect. And then a few of the other questions have all just been kind of answered throughout. How, where, when can we apply, Jessica? I think that was asked before we went through the process. If any clarification is needed, that Scale AFPA email is there, or feel free to ask another question a little bit more specific. Working through. Is it just a one-time intake? Do you want to answer that one again, Emmanuel? I know you went through it, that multiple touch points, but
Yeah, no, it's not a one-time intake. There are multiple intakes that can happen depending on the scope of your project and what you need to do. So feel free to reach out to any of our team members.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify too, go and look at that form right now. Like after this meeting, just go look at it. You'll see it's fairly low lift. That is one of the big things we actually really wanted to is it's a get to know you and allows the coach to come in and have an actual good first meeting with you to address and find focus. So take the time. Honestly, I've seen people, there's already almost 30 that have come in. It's not a high lift. Just get in so you can get in the door. Better to get in early. Okay, back to Jordan. Does accessing the grant for energy efficiency impact access to the federal ITC or the ACCA? Would the ACCA be calculated after the grant like it is for the ITC? Same answer as the before one. We'll have to take this back and address it. And Jordan, your questions may be a bit more one-on-one. I think we need a little bit more insight into what your project is before we can clarify. But Emmanuel, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's best to schedule a one-on-one meeting with Jordan.
All right. And maybe we can get Pauline off this one because I think she has some experience around this. Does anyone know how to price the products properly? I'm having a hard time to price.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would love to help you with that one. So, I can drop my email address into the link, or like you said, just follow up in the scale inbox. And we have some different templates that can be used to help with retail pricing, for example, retail pricing or wholesale pricing, depending on what you're looking at. But I do have lots of experience there for sure. We want you to make money.
Yes. And it depends on channel, it depends on buyer. As you grow, you might have to change your price to get into a new channel. I can also tag team that one with Pauline. Got a little bit of experience and learned the hard way in some instances. So happy to share that feedback with folks. The biggest problem in Alberta is co-packers costs are way too high. Uh, so co-packing, Emmanuel, do you want to dive in, or does anybody want to touch the co-packing subject?
Yeah, sure. So we have a portal, AppFood Connect, that will link you to a co-packer, depending on your location, but also depending on what processes you need. We're also optimizing that portal to include more co-packers, but also more commercial kitchens, and then more direct contact with initiating conversations with those co-packers. In terms of pricing, that is a negotiation between you and the co-packer. But some of these costs could be accessed again through the tiered funding, depending on the scope of the project.
Perfect. And I know there's a lot of conversations around how to address this issue because it has been brought up multiple times. So yeah, know that the problem is being worked on by several stakeholders behind the scenes. And we're trying to I think the federal and provincial governments are trying to make food more affordable. Everybody knows it's a problem. How are companies chosen? How do we know when we are eligible for the funds?
Yeah, so I touched on that earlier. I don't know if Carla, you still need a response to that, but companies have to be Alberta-based. They don't necessarily have to be a member of AFPA, although being a member of AFPA is preferred. And then your eligibility has to fall within the scope of what scale covers in terms of safety, automation, and trade and marketing. And once you fill out the form, a navigator will get in touch with you and then help you to determine the scope of your project and which activities are eligible for funding or not, but also for coaching and also for some of the workshops and other help that is needed.
Perfect. And I just want to touch as a founder in the room, the added value of the coach. So if you weren't particularly successful in landing one of these grants, there's so many different grants out there, and it's about how to properly kind of structure that application. So the coaching, we can go into some of that, but the coaching is truly one of the big add values to this, especially for the smaller processors. Thank you for that answer, Emmanuel. Oh, keep the questions coming. I'm having a hard time keeping track because they're coming in so fast. Are lean and operational workshops consulting part of what can be funded with scale?
So this will be part of our educational series. I'm happy that this topic came up. So this will be part of the workshops that we'll be providing to processors in Alberta, and then we can organize those as well. So not necessarily part of the funding with Scale, but it'll be part of the rollout workshop series and educational series that we're providing for our processors.
And I forget, have you chatted much about the toolkit? Or is this a good
Not yet.
opportunity to chat about it?
Mark, you can go ahead with that.
Fair enough. Okay, so what we are also putting together is a toolkit. So some of the things that come up as a founder is you're getting bombarded by information from everywhere. So what the coaches are going to try and do is vet some of the programs out there and create a toolkit so that you know that the coaches have gone through this, but the coaches are also familiar with tools that you're going to be looking at. So they'll be better able to support you in that as well. So it's not going to be an immediate thing, but we're slowly going to be adding and building out a toolkit with vetted resources that we can actually work with you on. Technology like traceability software and ERPs are often an annual or monthly subscription. If funding until 2028, do companies apply annually for support, or is a one-time lump sum for 75% for the 2 years? Emmanuel?
I think operationally, given the time frame of the project, it will be beneficial if you can apply for a one-time lump sum for 75% for the 2 years up to the end of the program, rather than annually, because it also depends on if funds are still available based on how many companies apply for it.
Perfect. And I'll jump in with a little bit of my experience here. So for grants or any type of grant funding, what you're looking for is usually the implementation costs. So they want to help you implement it. A ongoing monthly subscription is more an operational cost, which your sales have to cover. So that's the type of thing you want to look at as you're structuring it, is you want support with the implementation, and then your sales are going to cover that monthly subscription at the end of the funding. So, and usually you can get a little bit of that monthly subscription going through. But again, everything gets clarified with your coach. Does the funding only cover processing companies, or is agriculture covered as well?
Depending on the activity with which you need support for, agriculture will be covered as well, as long as the scope of your project is within the eligible activities that the program covers.
Perfect. And what I would say is get your application in, chat with a coach, and we can give specific advice to what you're referring to. Spend first, claim later. Well, that's an efficiency question right there. Is that correct?
Yes, that will be correct, because we're going to be 75% cost recovery. So we'll reimburse 75% of eligible costs that you have expended.
No need to apologize about everything about energy efficiency. I come from the sustainability world too, Jordan, so I love it. Keep it coming. And Pauline shared a little bit of her background too, so we actually love all the questions. When can the spending start? That's a good one from Jessica.
As soon as your project is approved.
And so I think with like a bit of clarity, there's no backdating costs, correct?
No, there's no retroactive costs.
Yeah, so project can't already be in progress. So is the registration application process ongoing, or do you need to be in the queue for April 13th review? So it's ongoing. That form isn't going anywhere. You can enter when you're ready. There is a special little email going out to folks on April 10th with an added value HACCP offer. So if HACCP is on your radar, if you don't know what HACCP is, it's a critical food safety thing, that building block. No matter who you are, if you're going to play in food, you want to take a HACCP course. You want to understand food safety at the baseline level. So there is that added value if you get in earlier. You'll get added communication if you get in earlier, but it is an ongoing process. So you don't have to feel rushed if you're not ready. Expected timeline. Next question. Sorry, I sometimes just jump in without clarifying. Expected timeline for application to pay out. And with a follow-up question, or how long to get reimbursed on average?
I think once we have your proof of payments, we will run that through our accounting, and we would have the reimbursements to you as soon as possible. I don't know if Melody, you can comment on that.
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. So the funding through Prairie Cans, we're kind of a guinea pig for that. So we're being watched very closely on that. This is something they were very proud to release through AFPA as part of this program, and we're very proud to accept it. So I'm gonna say depending because we do have to apply and do cash flows as well. But I'm gonna say once everything's in. I'm going to say within 45 days from complete everything in to payout. It could go a little longer depending on year ends or whatever else, but normally within 45 days we should be able to have it back out to you if that was the question.
And is that on completion of the project?
That is on completion of the project. We can look at prorating payments. That does get a little sticky. As everyone knows here, the paperwork's for grants. It's not a lot of fun. And we have the same back end and the same audit process as you guys have on your end, probably double. So that would be on a case by case. But yeah, once said and done, project complete, everything in, I'm going to say 45 days.
Perfect. So everybody should expect one-time payment at the end of the project. However, if you make a great case for yourself and Melody is willing to do the extra admin work by the sound of it, you will potentially get a midpoint top up or something. There may be the option. But again, that'll be clarified with your coach. Great question. And I love your flexibility, Melody. This is why I said this program is unique, folks. My project will start in 3 months. Can I apply now? I would encourage you to apply now. Yes, get in early and get talking to a coach. How long does it take for approval once submitted? Is it lengthy? Emmanuel?
So again, this depends on how well it is written. You're going to be working with an industry navigator that will guide you through the process as well. But once everything is correctly done, within 3 to 5 days, you should have a decision on your submission.
Perfect. And know that we're building out the entire program right now. So when we say like they're going to start getting reviewed April 13th, we wanted to make sure this communication came out so everybody had fair access. After that, because the beginning is always when you get the most applications, it might be a little bit longer. However, we are keen on communicating with you guys a lot. I've been managing the scale intake inbox. Keep the questions coming. If we don't answer every individual email, expect to get an answer within 5 days, whether it's through a blast. It just means we're getting the same question a lot, and we're going to get a very robust answer back to everyone.
I'll just jump in here, Mark, just really quickly. Just
Yeah.
remember, everyone, too, the program, yes, the cost shared funding is a piece of the program, but that's not the whole program in itself. And the funding, in my opinion, will go quite quickly. Once the funding is committed, that piece of the program will pause until we can open up more or something changes. But the program itself will run for 2 years with the navigators, with the education, with the toolkits. But yeah, if you are thinking about a program, our expectation is that that money will be committed probably within the first year for sure. And the second year will be just working with the companies that we are funding or additional companies, even without the funding.
Great. And then Jessica's asking, what is the April 13th date? Is that the first intake? Do you want me answering that, Emmanuel?
Go ahead, Mark.
So that's just the date we are starting to review applications. So we're not reviewing any applications right now because we are getting the program off the ground, but we want to make sure there's applications in the funnel. If you don't know what a sales funnel is, by the end of this 2-year project, you will, because I love funnels. And you will too by the end of this. but it's what creates the sales momentum and honestly momentum in every aspects of your business. So the April 13th is just when we start reviewing. And I believe we plan to anybody who's got their application in by April 13th, you will hear from us by April 29th. So we're going to try and assign coaches by the end of the month. So you'll hear from your individual coach. And if you don't, you'll hear from a email from the Scale account from me with another update on a date. Scanning through. If your project lasts 3 years, some of these are very one-on-one questions. So anytime that there's a one-on-one question, I'm just going to encourage you. The QR code is on the slide here. Scan it. Get that super low lift application in to get to know you. It puts you on the whole Scale team's radar. We all see that application come in, and we can look at everything and have that first chat with you. Multiple products, we can have that chat as well. It's less grant specific and more person specific, but if a lot of people have that question, we can do a session on it. I made that mistake. I can teach on it. Any specific reporting requirements exist during or after the funding, Emmanuel?
Yes,
Or
so
Melody?
we have an interim progress report that you would need to provide, and then a final report that you would also need to provide. These reports will include the activities that you have engaged in with regards to the scope of the project, the cost incurred, the jobs that were created or retained, the impact on revenue growth, tariff mitigation, fund use confirmation. And then you also want to make sure that you retain your records for about 6 years.
Yeah. I'm monitoring the chat, but I'm also getting individual questions. So every email, if you've asked me for where do I follow up for more information, if you don't want to fill out the form, but you want to ask a question, right on this slide, scale@afpa.com, write it down. You can email that if you don't want to go through the application and have 1 or 2 questions you want to ask beforehand. From Jessica, it sounds like there is a more in-depth application after the form we fill out on the website. Where is that? How do we submit a more well-written application?
So the form that you actually fill on the website gets you into the Scale program, and then working with your Industry Navigator, if you want to complete a subsequent form only for the tiered funding, because the program is more than the tiered funding. It's the coaching, it's the workshops, it's the one-on-one navigation. The tiered funding application will be provided to you by your Industry Navigator based on the actual project that you need help funded with.
Amazing. And yeah, so that's super clear. This application, you're into the coaching. Next application, if you're picked for funding, you're going to submit that and there will be a more lengthy application. What do you think engagement time commitment would look like week over week? Ooh, that's a tough question. Depending on the project?
Depending on the project, depending on you and your Industry Navigator, what sort of agreement you have in place, and time commitment for both of you.
Yeah, and this is a good time to mention that we are going to be available for like one-on-one coaching, but there's also going to be a cap to how many times. But trust me, we're very efficient at working. I've worked with tons of startups, so if you think it's chaos, I'm used to chaos. And I think everybody now that they've worked with me for a little bit, they know what chaos truly looks like.
This also might be a good time to mention, if I could just jump in, Mark. April 23rd at the AFPA conference in Calgary. The whole team will be there in person for the whole day. So if you haven't signed up for that conference, that's a great day to corner them. They can't get away. They can answer all your questions in person. The more you engage with AFPA and the AFPA programs, the more engaged the program will be to you. So June, we'll be back in Edmonton for the Food Awards, AGM and a full day summit plus golf, and lots more coming down the pipe. So I do encourage you, if you're not getting our e-blast, you're not watching social media, that's where you're going to get your information and get involved. I just can't say that enough. The more that you network, the more that you meet with the team, the more you're going to get out of it.
100% agree with that. Okay, if I apply, what are the chances of getting in? Really depends on the amount of applications we get, and the projects that get put forward. Anything you want to add to that, Emmanuel?
You're going to be working with the industry navigators to also tailor your application. So I think by the time you submit an application, it will be tailored well enough that you would be in the system.
Perfect. And then from Mark Duncan, seems like you're Mark Investors. Do you want to clarify what you mean by that? I'm good with short questions, but I don't understand what you want from that. So I'll give you time to answer. Kelly's asked another question. Oh, no, that's just a comment. Thank you so much, Kelly. I'll give Mark about a minute, or if you want to come off mute.
I can probably answer for Mark if you want. I did speak to him on the phone. So I think he's just wondering if he could have links or connections or introductions to private investors to help scale. So
Gotcha.
I'm
Get an application in and chat with your coach, and then we can chat. Know that the team is always chatting with each other. So even if you're working with one coach, you're kind of working with the entire team. So keep that in mind. And then this may be the last question. I'm in the Food Processing Development Center. Nice. I'd love to hear it. Am I eligible to apply? Emmanuel?
I believe you would be. Being in the FPDC doesn't negate you from applying.
No, yeah, send your application in. You're definitely eligible for the coaching if you're operating in Alberta. Sweet. Thanks for being so engaged, everybody. And thanks for putting Emmanuel on the hot seat. I can't do it so much. So, Emmanuel, you want to wrap us up?
Yes, so thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your time with us and for allowing us to explain to you what the SCALE program is. And we're really looking forward to working with you, helping you to grow your business and overcome a lot of the hurdles that you're facing right now. Feel free to reach out to us through our email, scale@afpa.com. We're looking forward to receiving your applications, and we're looking forward to working individually with you. And
Right.
I'll hand over to Melody to wrap us up.
Melody, can I do one more offer?
I guess.
I do this to them all the time. So if you haven't seen, there's a Made in Alberta Awards. If you have a product in market, one of the added value things I want to do is I actually love posting on LinkedIn. I have a decent following. And if you get applications in, I'm going to try and get you guys featured through that. You'll get an email about it. So highly encourage you to submit an application. And of course, this is when my internet connection goes unstable, but hopefully there was enough of that. Highly encourage you to get involved in that program. I'm going to try and feature as many of you guys through this coaching ability, thanks to our funders and thanks to AFPA for putting this together. So thank you, Melody. Over to you.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for everyone for joining us. And the whole team is available on email or on phone calls. We've been working very hard behind the scenes. They've only been on with us for less than a month, and we have our in-person planning session tomorrow. Hence the reason applications aren't being reviewed till next week. We still got to finish planning the program. So very exciting stuff. So thank you, everyone, and reach out anytime.
Take care.
Thank you.